Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to it again with some more Cyberpunk collaboration details. And this is the crazy thing about this one, and I'm sorry to tell you this right off the bat. If you're trying to avoid every single spoiler possible for all of the media that's going to be showing up in version 3.4, just click out of the video. Because at this point, Kuro Games kind of like understands that Cyberpunk Edgerunners Season 1 is one of the worst kept secrets ever in terms of like what happens in the plot, to the point where even the showrunners are spoiling it in the marketing for Season 2. I'm not going to do that in this video, but Kuro Games is going to do it for me. So without further ado, we've got, well, you can probably guess what we're going to be looking at. It's the Resonator reveal for Lucy. And we've already gotten like the insight over here that the entire Cyberpunk 3.4 collaboration story is, well, based off the fact that the night city that we're going to and the setting for the collab, it's kind of based off of people's memories. And, well, from some of the lore tidbits that we've seen for other characters like, well, Rebecca, well, we've been able to find out some more clues about how this Somnoir Sonarosphere sort of situation is working out. So without further ado, let's go ahead. I've already taken a bit of a preview of it, so I know just how crazy the contents are. Let's get into the Lucy Resonator reveal. And just as a bit of a reminder, you can snag the 5-star Resonator Rebecca for free, but not her. Pay up, piggy. All right, so without further ado, we've got Lucy's story, at least in Solaris. But it does cover some of her Edgerunner's adventures, so that's where the spoiler warning is going to come from. All right. They start off with the Resonance Evaluation Report, which is always very, very, very interesting for us to do, considering these are collab characters not really from this universe. And they're not actually Resonators in the Edgerunners universe. So clearly something must have happened for them to have gotten these TASM marks. Well, let's see what hers is all about. The subject is identified as a mutant-type Resonator, much like Rebecca. And I do think that the TASM mark being located on the right shoulder, it's actually the same location as Rebecca. Maybe the right shoulder is like, I don't know, it's like something that some sort of procedure that they got done in Night City or something like that. Who knows? The subject can hack targets within a 5-meter radius to achieve objectives such as information retrieval, data manipulation, or target control. This was one of the big reasons for why I thought it was just odd that Lucy clearly seems tailored more as like the main DPS, while Rebecca is clearly tailored more as like the sub DPS, where Rebecca summons a turret and then Lucy buffs it when she enters the field. I always thought it was like a little bit odd because Lucy, from what she does, she sounds like a debuffer, right? She sounds like a support in a sense. She sounds like somebody that like helps out in taking somebody down, not really being like the main person doing it because of, you know, all like the net running, the hacking that she does. But yeah, I guess Kuros decided to sort of throw that out the window and have her just chop shit up with wires. Testing indicates this forte can affect up to 3 targets simultaneously. Yeah, she needs to work on her cyberware. I feel like in 2077, 3 targets is like not even that impressive. I feel like you get to 3 targets within like 4 hours of gameplay. So like, what exactly was she doing the whole time in Night City? Who knows? This forte can also be used against tacit discords. Can she give them cyberpsychosis? Who knows? After hacking a TD, the subject can inflict damage or exert control by disrupting its frequency. The underlying mechanism and upper limits are currently unknown. Oh, she sounds like she could be a little bit broken. The scope of control is speculated to be affected by the Resonator's own physical and emotional state. Okay. All right. So this leads me to believe Lucy might go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the middle of the quest. That, like, I feel like that emotional state part is important. Under blank guarantee, the Research Institute has agreed limited blank of the subject. Okay, so who is that? And like, what is the blank? And what is the Research Institute? So, yeah, there are clearly, like, some other parties involved here. It's not just Lahai Roy. It's not just Star Torch Academy. There's, like, a third party involved that I feel like has not been revealed yet. Maybe it's, like, maybe it's the new Federation with, like, Chase. You know, like, the Texan oil entrepreneur that, like, was helping us out with, 3.3. He's like, yeah, we need to go take down LF1. Yeah, we need to go exterminate that Thronodian immediately, right? Like, you guys remember that that guy. Maybe he has something to do with the collab, because I feel like that dude was clearly meant to be important. And also, wouldn't be surprised about this one at all. You know how deeply integrated Fraxinus happens to be into, like, the Space Trek Collective and Lahai Roy as a whole, right? Like, they've got some connections, especially with the whole New Federation. I think they have like a vice overseer or something over there and something like that, right? So who knows? They might be involved too, and it would kind of make a bit of sense. I'm pretty sure they would want to, yeah, they'd want to get themselves involved. And Lucilla said something about them not being turned into lab rats. True. All right. So yeah, pretty interested in seeing how this third side is woven in, and they might lead us into the next stage of the story, which is very cool for a collab one, right? Just think about that amazing Holy Grail war that happened in Petticotty. Yeah, that entire... The funniest thing about the Fate collab is that the entire thing is a flashback. That's my favorite part about it. The Fate collab and HSR, the whole thing is a flashback, and so all the consequences are self-contained, everything's already happened, and you know there are never going to be any stakes in the story. Like that is just what they tell you at the start. Nothing you're doing matters, by the way. It's already all happened, and so the world as you know it was fine when you started the quest, so clearly nothing bad could have happened. I'm just hoping that they don't have that over here. But with the writers of Edge Runners being in charge of the collab story, which you'll see later on, you'll see their influence. That probably shouldn't occur because that's some dog shit. Now, Cyberware technology. The subject exhibits multiple mechanical modifications grafted into her body. According to the subject's testimony, these modifications originate from blank and are classified as cybernetic technology. Are they gonna say some shit like Arasaka? Is that supposed to say, like, Arasaka? Who knows? Test results indicate this cyberware does not match any known existing technology, and this type of implant places significant strain on the user's body and psyche. Yeah, they basically go fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on a daily basis over in Night City. One of, like, Cyberpunk 2077's, like, roaming missions is, like, you know how sometimes we beat up enemies in Wuba? And then, like, pick up chests and get pulls from the resources there. In Cyberpunk 2077, you beat up, like, roaming drug addicts who have had a mental break and are now, like, protruding metal blades from their arms and just killing random civilians in the streets. I'm not joking. That's, like, literally, that's, like, actually accurate. That's, like, actually accurate. On blank intervened, canceling the research project on Night City technology. Who's that? So clearly, there was somebody in Lahai Roy, right? That was going in and, like, researching this cyber tech and stuff, which is clearly, right, that's... Cyberpunk is too dark for the world of Wuthering Waves. You thought Wuthering Waves was, like, bad with, like, cities getting blown up and people getting murdered by TDs? Like, Cyberpunk is, like, the setting is darker than that, which is... Well, you didn't think it could be that bad, but it really is that bad. So, I mean... Bro, this one is so much more interesting than Rebecca's from the perspective of Rebecca's, like, report really seemed to be, like, in the past tense, if you know what I mean, right? Her report and all the information that you saw in it, it was all for kind of, like, dated stuff that was, like, not really currently in the present, not really surrounding the immediate situation. This one, on the other hand, is the exact opposite, right? This one seems like up to date. I wonder why. All right, overclock diagnostic report. Ooh. The subject's waveform diagram exhibits spike-type fluctuations with an unstable time domain. She has risks of overclocking. So it's interesting that we've got overclocking and then also, like, cyberpsychosis both at the same time. Cyberpsychosis is when, like, your cyberware goes haywire and then your mental state erodes and then you become, like, a murdering machine. Overclocking is, like, somewhat similar, but I feel like people don't get, like, as murderous angry when they're overclocking. So it's almost, to me, it seems like over here she might overclock and then also undertake cyberpsychosis at the same time. Yeah, that's like having diarrhea. What would you combine with diarrhea to get this combination? Yeah, it's like you're throwing up and you have diarrhea at the same time. That's probably the best way to describe it. Yeah, cyberpsychosis plus overclocking is food poisoning, diarrhea, and vomiting all at the same time. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. It's not a good time, and you're not a better person for having gone through it. Sounds good. All right. Counseling recommendation. Oh, wait. Resident criticality is low and subject stability is moderate. Potential risk of overclocking. No history of overclocking. However, based on clinical evaluation and diagnostic criteria, the subject exhibits psychological distress and stress responses. Routine psychological counseling is recommended. Well, in Night City, they don't do this pussy-ass shit that you call counseling and, like, therapy. They just go out, drink, take drugs, and kill people and commit crimes. So, like, that's more so actually what goes on over there. That's their substitute for therapy. Or you just do brain dances. So, like, yeah, they don't have those in Solaris, so maybe she's just going through withdrawal. We'll see. Counseling recommendation has been rejected by the subject. I think Luke tried to give her candy and she was like, fuck off, freak. I would not actually be surprised if, like, that's an interaction that they have. Luke tries to, like, counsel her and, like, offers her candy and she tells him to go get the fuck out of here. Would not be surprised. The subject previously used their forte to alter test results. Partial data has since been restored. So Lucy used her forte, she hacked into this, and then removed this information. Interesting. Interesting. What does she have to hide? Anyways, now that we've gotten a bit of the rundown of her present state in Solaris, in the Wuthering Waves universe, in Hyrule, why don't we see some of her anecdotes, some cherished items over here? This is where stuff's gonna get. This is where the spoilers are gonna get a little bit crazy, just so you guys know. Cherished item, the moon travel poster. Makes sense to me. A poster advertising trips to the moon. So basically, in the cyberpunk universe, you have this thing called a brain dance, where you can put on, like, some sort of headgear, and then basically your entire consciousness is teleported. Not really teleported. It's like taken into, like, a different reality. And so you can see that, well, it just as like a basic science lesson over here, we got teacher Sate over here. You can't actually breathe on the moon. Yeah, if you were to go to space looking like this, you die immediately. Like, space is like a vacuum. You'd, like, get turned inside out or, like, freeze. You'd basically look like, you know, like stuffed teddy bears when, like, the dog gets into them. You'd be the human version of that out here. So basically, this can't actually happen unless you're viewing the moon through, well, in the cyberpunk universe, right, some sort of brain dance. And that's why, like, at the end of this convene animation over here, she takes off the brain dance headset over there that looks over Night City. So, yeah, that's what these, like, moon tickets are, like, all about over here. So, yeah. There was a time you couldn't walk a block in Night City without seeing a travel promotion. In these ads, it was sold as an untouched paradise, clean, free from the rot of corporate greed, a place where everyone lived equally, without worry, without care. Basically the opposite of Night City. But the price tag was steep. The facilities were a joke. Word spread that it was just another corporate scam. And like all of them, it faded from the conversation. So, yeah, I guess moon travel was actually a thing that they had going on. Now the best they have is like a simulated version of it. Now, dreamers dismiss it as another corporate con. But there's still one girl standing on a rooftop looking up, hoping that one day she might escape to the moon. And so, essentially, if you've watched Edgerunners, you'll know why she values the moon so much. And if you haven't watched Edgerunners, don't worry, Kuro's gonna tell you why in just a few paragraphs. Now we got Lucy's hobby. I used to slip outside city limits on still nights to go see the stars, the peace, the silence. I could let my worries melt away. You know, from the desert, Night City looks like a neon prison, a cage of light, and everyone's trapped inside. Myself included. Yeah, so basically she's talking about going to the Badlands, but in 2077 you had Pan Am in Night City. She's got nobody. Sucks to suck. All right, Lucy's story. This is why. The David Martinez. It's a cocktail found at a bar in Night City called the Afterlife. Vodka, ice, and a splash of Cola. That sounds like not actually that good. It's funny. David never liked fizzy drinks. For most, that drink honors a Merc legend. For me, a man my heart will never forget. So, yeah, guys, this is basically... Remember how I said that the spoilers are such a badly kept secret that even the story runners that are advertising Season 2 of Edgerunners are spoiling it? Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure that Kuro wasn't actually able to put any of this shit into any of these materials until it was signed off by CD Projekt Red, because this is like their lore, and it seems pretty one-to-one. It seems like CD Projekt Red might have been the one that wrote these, right? They're confirming he's dead here. What do you really want me to say other than Kuro Games, CD Projekt Red, and Lucy herself in the Wuwa universe, they're all confirming the man is cooked. And that's where that whole projection of the memories thing, right? I think we all already sort of know what the story of the Cyberpunk collaboration actually is. And I don't even think anybody on the development side is trying to keep it a secret with how much they kind of explained already. Naturally, we don't know what's going to happen across the plot, but basically, I think it's something along the lines of Lucy manages to find herself in Solaris somehow, gets picked up by whatever research facility, right? Is like doing whatever, gets to Lahai Roy. Rebecca somehow is like there too, and then her memories, right, are what's fueling the rest of this journey. And so, yes, we did see bits of David and stuff like that, but when you see over here in a Resonator reveal, she herself is confirming he's dead. I mean, this is kind of just... I don't actually know what they're looking to do with this, but it just seems like this entire thing is meant to be like an emotional tragedy. I don't even know where the happiness is supposed to come from over here. I mean, I guess I can sort of understand where the happiness is supposed to come from. I guess, you know, people just be like goofing around, like, you know, they're like goofing around, having a jolly good old time. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's just gonna be sunshine and roses during the entire story, so who knows what's gonna happen. My main take from seeing all of this is that Lucy is probably actually like the only real thing that's come out of this situation. And so I'm very interested in seeing how her story actually concludes. Maybe she gets some sort of like cassette in Lahai Roy or something like that. We'll just have to figure it out, right, as it goes on. Because right over here, this is probably one of the most unique stories I think a collaboration has ever tried to tell, where it dives into like the past memories of like one of the characters and then creates an entire tale out of it that like affects the ongoing in-game world. It's an interesting premise for sure. I don't think anyone's actually done it before. Can't say if it's going to be good or bad, but with CD Projekt Red and the Edge Runners team writing it, I assume it's going to be good. Now, let's see what we got over here. Thoughts. Don't really understand the peeps here. One friendly convo makes someone a choom. One fight, you trust them to watch your back. Can't imagine any of you surviving a day in Night City. So, yeah, they're just reiterating over here, like, the context, the premise, the setting of Night City versus Solaris. Yeah, in Night City, bro, basically, it's like crime is occurring 24/7, and I don't think the police even actually exist. Yeah, the idea is that Night City is so bad, morals, all of that are so non-existent that you only trust, like, you have less friends that you can trust than you have like fingers. And the end result, right, is that nobody over there is like a good person. They're all like kind of morally dubious individuals. And the closest thing that you like have to a hero, they're kind of doing bad shit too. So yeah, that's kind of like the implication. If you played the games or watched the anime, you would understand. But for this setting, probably makes sense for you to play the game, watch the anime too. All right, now we got the character menu, and now we got Lucy kind of going around doing her little whip action over here. So yeah, I mean, I'm personally of the mindset that they really leaned a lot into like her fighting ability, not so much necessarily, I guess, into her hacking ability. Yeah, I know she has like one move in her kit where she does it, but it's kind of like just her ultimate. So yeah, her whip action over here kind of seems like the main stuff. You can see that they're highlighting it a lot. Not necessarily as much of like that hacking going on, at least in the first animation. Now over here, right, this is where she starts getting a little bit, this is where she starts going a little bit crazy. I don't know, I kind of wish she did that in her kit. You know what I mean? I know these are like the mini games and stuff that we're going to be having in like the story exploration, things like that. But like, it would have been cool if there were like a couple more animations like this in like her gameplay. And now we got the convene. Everyone's already seen this one. Yeah, this is... I still can't believe that they decided to take this part. I still can't believe that they decided to take like this scene, because that just confirms, bro, she's madly depressed. Yeah, if she's just like sitting up in like her apartment doing this by herself, yeah, she's depressed, bro. What do you want me to fucking say? Like, hey, you gotta move on. You gotta move on. And so, yeah, this is probably my favorite animation in her kit, because it's like a bunch of Easter eggs. And of course, right, it actually shows like the hacking and the stuff like that. I kind of wish that the ending animation of it was a bit more impactful. It's kind of just like a single thing. I kind of wish there was like an ending cinematic as well, kind of like showing how it affects the enemy or something. Yeah, they're just getting like red splatted. But who knows, maybe it'll grow on me. But yeah, that's gonna be the Lucy Resonator reveal, ladies and gentlemen. The Lucy Resonator reveal. And my personal take is that this is pretty much, this answered a lot of questions, but still kept a lot of them ready for the collaboration. And I think that everyone in the gacha space, or really everyone just like in the gaming space as a whole, right, they need to kind of understand that this is how stories, hype, building up, all of that, it should be done. We're fed enough information, enough lore tidbits, enough tiny reveals to understand at a baseline what's going on, why this is happening, and the reason for why we should be like sort of invested, or why this plot even makes sense. But then they tell us basically nothing at all about what's going to be occurring. All I know is the setting. The setting makes lore sense. The setting isn't contrived. And I think that my favorite part of this, right, it's just the stark differences between this collaboration, the story implementation, and the Fate one. The Fate one being that stupid, goofy-ass flashback just implies there are no stakes, there are no reasons to care. There's obviously already been a happy ending where people left satisfied, or there's no real consequences, and then you just go on a 4-hour story going through something that doesn't matter. A whole 4-hour unvoiced story going through events that have already occurred and have made no change at all to the game world. No lasting consequences, no character implications, nothing. That's the fucking Fate collab. And you are made aware that nothing you're doing matters at all in the first like fucking 10 minutes of the quest. And this one over here, I can tell from the pre-release materials, this cannot even be similar to that, because they're already talking about the real in-game world consequences that have already occurred before the collab story has even begun, and of course, how they're going to get expanded on as the story further develops. So yeah, to me, this is one of the best sort of like hype guarantors I've seen in a while. And yeah, no, I mean, hey, like I've already said I'm gonna watch the anime. This made me want to watch it even more, bucko. So like, how about you just get off my back? Yeah, patience is a virtue, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so yeah, that's gonna be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you all enjoyed this as much as I did, and peace out.